next up, we have the next hero or squad that we're going to be talking about, and this is my favorite, my favorite squad, and you'll know why in a second. We're going to be looking at the Airborne Elite in this segment. And I'm just gonna say it because I already, some people are like, you don't have names. I have names. I have names for them.
Look, that is the lore. That is you have created lore for them.
This is what Tales of Valhalla is. This is the main protagonist in the stop motion series is on the Airborne Elite. So I give them names, personalities, and so okay, we got here in the back is Toothpick, a man of many words, and then we got Gimp, a man of fewer words but lots of grenades, and then we have Henderson, who is all attitude, and then in the front there, as should be, Daniel Taylor, who calls himself Lieutenant Dan, who has a lot more attitude. So yeah, those are the guys. And for the game, in the game stat card, Airborne Elite under Jandar, they are human, unique squad, soldiers, disciplined, medium, 5 height. They have 1 life each, move of 4 spaces, range of 8 spaces, attack of 3 dice, defense of 2 dice, 110 points. Their special attack, or their special abilities, consist of grenade special attack, range 5, lob 12, attack 2. And let me just read this. Use this power once per game. Start the game with a grenade marker on this card. Remove the grenade marker to throw grenades. 1 at a time. Do the following with each Airborne Elite. Choose a figure to attack. No clear line of sight is needed. Any figures adjacent to the chosen figure is also affected by the grenade special attack. So it's easy. It's better to throw your grenades in clusters of enemies. Roll 2 attack dice once for all affected figures. Each figure rolls defense dice separately. And then they have an ability called the Drop, which is very, very unique to the game. Airborne Elite do not start the game on the battlefield. At the start of each round, before you place order markers, roll the 20-sided die. If you roll a 13 or higher, you may place all 4 Airborne Elite figures on any empty spaces. You cannot place them adjacent to each other or other figures or on glyphs. Now, before we get into the lore part, just the stats part of the Airborne Elite, they are a very unique squad. Very, very unique squad. And they come, of course, from the Rise of the Valkyrie Master set. And although I think their biggest weakness is that 2 defense dice, because if they're not like on an elevated spot to where they can defend themselves, they can be wiped out pretty quick. So you got to know how to use them, because if you don't, it's going to be a bad game for you. Okay, let me get this up here again. Now, their attack 3 is great because, again, 3 or 4 if they're on elevation, and when it comes to their drop ability, again, the drop is kind of a double-edged sword. If you can, like, in your first round of your game, get that 13 or higher roll, and it's fairly good odds to get 13 or higher on the first round. I've had round to where it's like it's been 4 rounds and they haven't dropped, and then it's not great. But if you can get it within the first round or 2, especially the first round, you drop them, and they're basically the first like miniatures like in the battlefield, and you can position them, you have a pretty good advantage. But it does take a little bit of luck for them on that.
I think the most powerful thing here is their range 8.
Yeah.
A lot of the good armies that I've seen, especially when it comes to either you're playing with Stingers, 4th Mass, 10th Reg. These are the units that I think about a lot. They're only got a range of 5, and I think they have 6 for 10th Reg. So 7 is to me the sweet point when it comes to range. There's some out there with 7, like the Arbian Archers. But range 8, and you get to kind of put them wherever you want.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of need a defensive too, just to kind of offset the stats of the range, and especially or the grenade special. I mean, if you have like a horde of whatever the opposite army is trying to go after you, you just use grenade special attack, and you might be able to wipe out a few of their forces. Because I mean, if they're all bunched up together, be careful. So
and this is for each unit,
right?
That you throw.
Yeah, exactly. And they are a ton of fun to play on the battlefield, even if you lose. And your odds, depending on how well you know and play them, your odds sometimes cannot be that great until you learn how to use them well. And I'm one person that I'm still not at the point to where I can use them well yet. But when you get the sweet spot, it's a lot of fun regardless. Because you learn, and they're complicated enough to where it's like either you don't use them well and then you have learning experience, or you use them well and then you learn more with them. But yeah, they're just, like I said, a very, very unique squad to everyone else, especially with the drop ability. Love that drop ability. And
I went to go look up what their delta points were, and they went up 10 points. That's crazy. I'm not sure because I don't see the community use them too often.
Right.
So I was curious to see what the response would be, is if how balanced they are, because that's what Delta really technically does. It just kind of rebalances some of the cards with the point values. It doesn't change any stats or special powers. It just changes the point value. And I was curious to see if it would go down in points significantly. Would they make them a 90-point squad, or would they, go up in points? But going up 10 points, that's not bad. So
as long as you know how to use them, it could be. It could go
Practice
well for you.
Makes perfect.
And I mean, at the very least, even if like someone ends up wiping them out for a lucky roll or stuff, even 1 or 2 Airborne Elite miniatures can really give a big headache to your opponent if you position them in the right way.
What's the basic strategy? It seems like you just drop them on a high point about 8 hexes away to get your +1 attack, +1 defense, and just snipe away. Right?
Basically, yeah. Yep. That's it. It's basically getting a good offensive position in the battlefield like right away. Like I said, but again, if you don't get that drop within like the first round or two, then your chances of getting a better position.
Rather than come in late game.
Would you rather him come in late?
Yeah, like mid game, like even at after the 3rd round.
I think either at the very beginning, or near the end. You wouldn't want it in the middle when there's like miniatures everywhere over the board.
Because depending on how your army composition, if you take a bunch of, let's say, a bunch of melee squads, and you move them all the way up, you're focusing your order markers on them and to set them up. You get people engaged, you get people set up, and then hopefully maybe on the 2nd or 3rd round you bring the airborne in. Probably more like the 3rd, because the first 2 order markers first 2 rounds you want to set all your order markers up so you can get them into the battlefield. And then the past couple of games I've played this past week, either online or in person, I've been rushed in my start zone. I've had wolves come at me.
Oh, boy.
I've had let's say the gladiators rush at me. I didn't have to move too far into the map, and so if that was the case, and let's say by the third round, the beginning of the third round, I want the Airborne Elite to drop into the opposite end of the map, or at least on the top of the middle of the map, so to snipe and protect me in the start zone, so I can then move up. Then you get to put, if they come in too early, then you got to put all your order markers on them. I feel like wouldn't want them to go to waste.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Would there be an advantage if they come in early? Then you get a situation where the opponent has to deal with them instead of just rushing your deployment zone, and now you've got time to set up your defenses, your response to the enemy as they're trying to deal with the Airborne Elite.
That's totally viable too.
And it depends. I guess it depends on how the game or the dice rolls and the game goes, and how the map is too.
Right.
It also depends on the map how you position it.
Jason. That's still a viable situation. If that happens that very first round, do absolutely take advantage of that and do that. I literally at that point put all your order markers on them your first round. A lot of people do that with the Mara Warriors. The Mara Warriors are way better when they're taking advantage of the first couple of rounds, get them on height, attacking down with 3 constantly. Or I should say 4. I think they're at 3 too, as well.
And Jason, you said you had some type of story. Did it have to do with the stats of the Airborne Elite? Is that something you want to mention now?
Yeah, I don't care. So the very first time I played Heroscape, this was right around 2004 when the game came out. It was at a games convention. I'm like, I don't know what this game is. I'll give it a try. And somehow I think my opponent had the Zedian Guard and the Deathwalker all grouped up together. And I had the Airborne Elite, started tossing grenades in and tried to crack all 3 of their defenses at once. And I don't know, obviously my opponent was trying to do some shady cheating thing, but somehow he said the Deathwalker got 27 defense dice, got his 9 defense stacked 3 times. To which I point out, no, that's not how the game works. And he proceeded to stand up and yell at me, saying, this is how the guy get 27 defense dice against these 3 grenades, even though they're 3 separate attacks. And I'm just looking at this guy, I'm like, okay, seriously, you're acting like a kid. Sit down. You need to stop.
Read the rules.
Read the rules. You're getting in an angry fight over such a stupid thing.
Oh dear.
Oh my god.
It's like, wow. It's like, this is the most embarrassing moment I've ever seen someone make of themselves in a tabletop miniatures game ever. It was just,
wow.
It was sad.
Yikes.
Imagine.
I have no comment. I'm
just thinking about that guy must have been so mad, because even if you roll a 2, because it's only attack 2, so if you roll both skulls, that's the best possibility for you, and you only need 1 to get through for all of that Deathwalkers. So if he was like, oh, I need 20, I mean, first of all, I don't even know if they come with 27 dice. I don't know where you're getting 27 dice.
Yeah, I don't know how that goes.
But even if you thought you had, what is the oh my god, the Shields of Valor, I think it was, for the
maybe
Valkyrie, Jandar. Oh my god, literally every single what I would have said to name the squad, the Valkyrie squad. Oh my god.
Here's my question.
Double defense. Doesn't matter.
Here's my question to anybody out there in the Heroscape community. Is there ever been a time legally within the game that you have been able to roll 27 defense dice? I think that's impossible, but I don't know, for sure. But that would be a huge buff.
Definitely not within the confines of Rise of the Valkyrie.
Yeah, there are. I mean, Deathwalker has a bunch of defense dice Anyway,
9 base.
Unholy amount. But I don't know. Yeah, that seems like an impossible thing to me. But I don't know. Reaching out to the community and see what.
Oh no, he was cheating. He was completely cheating.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. If it was just Rise of the Valkyrie that was released at that time, yeah, there was no buff for that at that time. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't think there's any buff at all. For that.
There's plenty of tabletop miniature gamers that'll outright cheat, especially when they think you don't know the rules because it's an odd circumstance. They'll just outright cheat, even if it means winning at a game that was designed for kids at a games convention when you're screaming at people in a room with several hundred people. It's like you just look really bad. That really what you got to the price you want to pay to try to win at this game. I'm like, seriously, no.
Well, Jason, after holding that in for how many years, are you happy to? Are you happy to get that all out and release it to the to the audience?
Sure, why not?
Glad we could help. Anyway, okay, let me get to the lore part here of the Airborne Elite. It says character bio for the Airborne Elite: battle trained on the planet Earth. The Airborne Elite squad has plagued the enemy with its deadly sneak attacks. Lifted high by the Valkyries and dropped behind enemy lines, they parachute down for a surprise visit, then quickly fire a barrage of grenades to unleash total havoc in the enemy's own territory. Off the battlefield, the elites are a fun-loving bunch, known for their practical jokes and... How do I say that word?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that one either. I'm a little lost. Rakos?
I should know this, and I'm hurting myself not knowing. Anyway, they're known for their practical jokes and card games. When called into action, they are unmatched in fast action focus and fearlessness. Even though that's not they're disciplined. They're not fearless. But anyway. So again, grenade special attack drop. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Rakous is making or constituting a disturbingly harsh and loud noise.
Arrakis, I think. Rakis.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever.
It's kind of like a word that we hear back in like the 80s, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not used as much anymore. And I think I pronounced that right. Although we have a lot of a pronunciation people that watch this. Nothing against you guys. I'm happy to be corrected in pronunciation because I butcher names all the time. So if I said it wrong, then I'll definitely be told that that I did. But anyway, about the lore, when it comes to the lore of the Airborne Elite, I mean, this is what I pulled from basically to set up, their characters for Tales of Valhalla: The Aftermath Chronicles, because you do see in like the beginning of season 2, they are playing card games. They obviously are a goofy bunch. I think I took that goofball thing a little too far, maybe, but that's just who they are now when it comes to Tales of Valhalla lore. And I always wanted to give them something more, which I'm glad I'm able to do in the sandbox of filmmaking that I'm able to have for them. We might discuss this some other time. I know Jeremy has good knowledge of this, but they weren't always a squad of 4, and that's something that I might have as part of their story in future Tales of Valhalla seasons, because there was talk of one of them being taken out by Izumu? I think it was Izumu. Killed an airborne elite, assassinated one basically. So in my imagination, they used to be a squad of 5. Now they're a squad of 4. Like they lost a comrade in arms, along the way. So I find that an interesting thing about them. And I think their attitude, much like I think even more so than like Drake Alexander, I mean they are like almost the kind of people like how we would be if we were all of a sudden taken by a Valkyrie general and thrown into, you know, a world of magical proportions. We would just be normal people, but doing our best to fight our way through this world of magic and power, with our M1 rifles and grenades, you know, and just a lot of know-how. So that's why I always like them. I always liked who they are and what they represented. But yeah, any other thoughts on lore for these guys?
No, they're solid. They are like the other than Sergeant Drake, they are the unique squad that represents Heroscape. If you see them, you know that's Heroscape.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. Synergies. When it comes to synergies, and the fun thing is I have most of these miniatures, so I've tried these type of synergies before on someone that I'm not going to mention who's on the show right now. But Marcus Decimus, Sir Gilbert, Sacred Band. Sacred Band is a wonderful army to have linked up with the Airborne Elite here. And then that is like with OG Heroscape miniatures, and then you got C3V miniatures like 8th Infantry Pathfinder, so Auric, Captain John Varin, Iban Armor. So there's a little bit of variety for synergies for the Airborne Elite. So it's like they don't have to be alone. There are armies you can manage and operate with them. So you know, for this game. So that's always good. So for anybody out there, again, who's looking to get into tournament play or just fun play, and you want something a little bit more challenging than the norm when it comes to just, you know, the other squads out there, Airborne Elite would be a fun time, I think. And they are a cheap option too, because Rise of the Valkyrie master sets are everywhere, as well as, I mean, you could literally just buy a lot of Heroscape on Heroscape and they just be miniatures just scattered everywhere, and your best bet of percentages, you'd find an Airborne Elite in just like a bundle, and be able to find them, get out of the miniatures to, you know, get whatever army. Sacred Band, you know, is a little bit of an expense, but well worth the price when you know, synergize them with the Airborne Elite, especially if you got like Marcus Decimus with them as well. Tied up with the Romans, you know, always good. Just never have the Airborne Elite against orcs, because I did this at Escape Con last year against Mr. Chompy. It did not end well. Actually, I don't even think I was able to put the Airborne Elite on the board for that game. Like, the drop ability just, I like whiffed like every time, and I think it was like until the end, to where it's like all my other miniatures got wiped out by orcs, and I wasn't even able to bring Airborne Elite on. It was not in my favor at that time. But yeah, anything else to talk about with the Airborne Elite here before we wrap up on this segment?
No, we good.
Anything? Okay, I'm good.
We're good.
All right, so well, that has been then looking at the Airborne Elite. Like I said, my guys. Again, and here, I'm gonna say this again because I love them named. Know the names, and if you really want to know how I feel about the Airborne Elite, please go to the Tales of Hell YouTube channel, watch the Tales of Hell, the Aftermath Chronicles series, which showcase these guys, which is, again, Toothpick, Gimp, Henderson, and the Lieutenant Daniel Taylor. And check them out. Anyway, that has been this squad unit, and you guarantee we're going to be looking up at more squads and heroes from Heroscape in the future.